Hey, it's Vanessa Hardy from Long and Foster. I have a really unique property listed for sale right now in Northeast DC. It is one legal property, but two row homes. One legal property, so you can get a residential mortgage loan on that one property and live on one side of the property, the end unit row home, and you could lease out the interior row home. It's a great way to build equity. Some of the young people call it house hacking. So I wanted to do a short video today, one about house hacking and two, a renovation loan, because you can actually do both. So I'm going to use this property as an example, but of course this would work in any multi-family property. What I really like about this particular property is the location. And that's something that you really want to watch for if you're interested in buying an investment property and a primary residence, a multi-unit where you would do both. Live in the property and also lease the property. You want to make sure you're going to buy a home in a location that will be popular and people will want to rent your property. So this location is ideal. You want to look for something like this. 833 L Street is walking distance from Gallaudet University, Union Market, Noma Metro Station, and also H Street. And there is a ton of new development that is coming along H Street with the Gold Line. We just found out that Metro is going to build this rapid bus system that will take people from Union Station down to RFK. And it's a huge project and it's going to do a lot to increase the economic opportunities right there on 8th Street and Benning Road. So this is a great location. You're going to wind up seeing a lot of people moving back into this area for this reason. So you want to look for a place that tenants will be interested in leasing. So let's say you find a property, you really like it, and what you're thinking about doing is living in one of the units. Usually people do these house hacks with a 4-unit building. So you live in one of the units and then you're planning to rent out the other 3 units and let those other 3 tenants help you pay the mortgage. Now, the neat thing in this particular case with 833 L Street, it's got that larger row home, so you don't have to stuff yourself into a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath in a little 4-unit building. In this case, you could live in that larger unit. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and then you could lease out the smaller unit. So it works the same way as a house hack. A house hack would work in a 4-unit. Works the same way. Here's the main thing that lenders are looking for. If you are going to buy a multi-unit, the lender wants to make sure that not only, let's say you're buying a 2-unit building like this one, they want to make sure not only that the sale price matches the comparables in the neighborhood, but they are going to look at how much is this buyer going to be able to lease that property for. So sure, they're going to live on one side, but how much are they going to be able to rent that second building for? So that's something the lender's going to look at. Now, here is the thing. A lot of people have said to me, hey, I really like that property, 833 L Street, but I think I'd like to update the kitchen or update the bathrooms, put in new flooring, that sort of thing. Here is what is possible. With conventional, with VA, with FHA financing, you could purchase this property, live in the larger end unit, and then rent out the smaller interior unit and borrow money to do all of those renovations so that you've got a property that you're really happy. As soon as you move in, you're really happy with the kitchen, the bathrooms on your side of the property. And you've also got a great property to lease out that has a new kitchen, new bath, new flooring, that sort of thing. And that means you're going to get a higher rental amount. So let me talk a little bit about how that would work, how that renovation loan would work in a situation like this. You're going to need an experienced loan officer. I'm happy to share my contacts with anyone who's interested. I'm happy to be a resource because you definitely want to work with an experienced loan officer because these loans, very possible, a lot of people in our area do these with 4-unit buildings, but you want to work with someone who knows the pitfalls, the obstacles. That way they can spot issues, and you don't have a loan that blows up at the end and it's something that could have been avoided. So you definitely want an experienced loan officer. Here's what the loan officer is going to do. They're going to take the value of the property. So let's say you've got a property, the sale price is $700,000. Great. But it's $700,000 in its current condition, and that's not all that hot. You know you want to do kitchens and bathrooms, that sort of thing. So here's the thing. They're going to have you, the purchaser, and they'll help you with this, but they're going to have you go get estimates from qualified licensed contractors. So the lender is going to want to know who you're talking to, who's going to be doing the actual work, but you're going to get estimates. And let's say they come back and say, okay, everything you're going to do with the property, all of the work, and even a cushion for things we're not sure about that we won't find out about till we start working, all of that work, let's say it's going to cost $100,000. So the lender is going to say, okay, I'm going to take the sale price and the estimate for those renovations, and I want to see, is the property really going to be worth 700 plus 100? Is it really going to be worth $800,000 once this property is complete? Let's look at all of the comps in the neighborhood to see if this makes sense. Okay, great. Let's say it makes sense. The other thing they want to look at is, well, what about the rental value of that unit that you're going to be leasing out? If it's a 2-unit building like this one on L Street, they want to know, okay, you're going to do some renovations. You're going to have new floor, new kitchen, new bathrooms. How much might that unit rent for once those renovations are done? They'll do the same thing if it's a 4-unit building and you're going to be living in 1 unit and renting out 3 of the units. So they're going to do that calculation. That is an important calculation. So that's one of those pitfall places that you want to make sure you have an experienced lender, so that you know you don't get tripped up at the very end. So once all of that is done, let's say you get green lights from everyone in the loan process and then you closed. The next thing is the bank, the lender has a pot of $100,000 set up. They've got a fund set up, and the contractor is just going to draw from that fund. The lender is going to make sure, as those draws are coming out, the lender will make sure that that work's actually being done. So if the contractor is getting money to replace a kitchen or to replace windows, a new roof, whatever it is, the lender wants to make sure that as that money's coming out, the work's actually being done. It is actually, it's a complicated loan, but you'd be amazed at how common it is. And this will even work on a property that is completely uninhabitable. So the main thing you need is time. You need to be a buyer and you need a seller who doesn't need to close right away, because this could take 60 to 90 days to actually get to the point where the lender is ready to close. But if you are a buyer who has some time and you've got a seller who has some time, not in a huge rush, can give the lender that time to close, and you've got an imagination, the renovation loan is it's a gold mine. It really is. And especially if you layer that on top of a multi-unit where you're going to get a primary resident loan. So you've got your interest rate's going to be lower. It's going to be easier to qualify. And then on top of that, you've got a renovation loan. If you qualify for that, you are going to be so happy 10 years from now, with the equity that you're going to be able to build when you do something like this. So I'm Vanessa Hardy from Long and Foster, and I help people navigate complex transactions just like this. Please feel free to use me as a resource.